Hello, everyone. I am Angela Belford. I am one of your hosts for Be Freaking Awesome. I am flying solo for these 2 weeks because Sami is gallivanting around the continent of Europe. I say gallivanting like that's a bad thing. I'm super proud of her. I'm jealous. She got to add Ireland. She dropped in Dublin because I don't know if you guys know this. Here's a little insider tip. Dublin is way cheaper to fly to oftentimes. So if you have a little bit of time flexibility in your schedule, there have been several times where I've looked at flights to Europe. And last year, we could have saved, at one point, we were saving a little bit of money, like probably a couple $100. No, it was more than that because it was worth enough. It was enough money that it was going to be worth it for the stopover. The only reason we ended up not doing it is because we used points. But anyway, if you don't book far in advance, look at Dublin as a starting point for European excursions. And then she is ending in Barcelona, which I know I shouldn't say this, but right now it is my favorite city in Europe. I haven't been a lot of places. I've only been to, I kind of joke and say the Roman speaking ones, Romance languages, because I've been to England, France, Monaco. I don't know if that counts I guess it counts. It's another city or another country, Spain and Italy. So I've just been to the big ones. But so far, Barcelona, my favorite place so far in Europe. I can't wait to do Eastern Europe. I'm really wanting to try Prague next summer. We're actually going to get to go to a wedding in Amsterdam is where we're starting our little excursion, and we haven't ever done like Switzerland, so we're going to do Switzerland for several days. We get to see the eastern part of France, not just the west part. Anyway, super exciting. So I'm very excited for her having fun in La La Land. Not just a movie. It is the place that my grandbabies are hanging out for this 10 days while mom and dad are having a good time across the pond. And I say that it's La La Land. It really is G-Land. He is amazing at the grandbabies. Absolutely amazing. They're about to the age where I will be good at it. I'm fine. But man, I love school age kids. Absolutely adore them. I'm sure they'll go through a period. We met somebody on a trip that said, we asked them, how do you know when to travel with your grandkids? And he said that they take grandkids from 4 to 14. Like, what? And he goes, before 4, they're not fully potty trained, and they often want their mom. So we don't take them before 4. And then after 14, they want their friends. They don't want their parents. They don't want you. They want their friends. And so they can come along on trips if their parents are with them. But 4 to 14 is the favorite time to travel with grandkids. And I thought that is pretty brilliant. So Henry will soon be 5, and I can definitely tell he's going to be a lot of fun to travel with. Anyway, okay. So we are on part 2 of our core beliefs 2-part episode podcast. That's what we're doing here. Podcast. And last week we talked about the belief that I think is core to everything. If you only work on one of these 7 core beliefs, start with self-love, because without self-love and without believing I am lovable, then the rest of them are just exponentially harder. And self-love really is not just, it doesn't just increase our capacity to love ourselves. I would say that it increases our capacity to love others. I would say that if I imagine my capacity to love people, grandkids, husband, children, whatever, grandkids are easier to love than children. You know that because they get to go home, right? I shouldn't be like that. But if I imagine it as like a gallon container, then if my self-love is only a quarter of that, I promise you the maximum amount of love I can give to anybody else is a quarter of a gallon. 1 quart. I mean, I believe it in my soul. From my perspective, That has gone from hypothesis to theory to law. And love your neighbor as yourself is Jesus trying to tell us you need to love yourself, that you can only love your neighbor as well as you love yourself. People don't believe me. I don't care. Be miserable or be happy. If you're happy and you don't love yourself, well, more power to you. I hope you figure that out. Write a book, prove that I'm wrong. I don't care. I don't care. This is what I have come to believe. And I mentioned on last week's episode that I was on a podcast where somebody else was kind of sharing the impact of coaching with me has had. And they've just had 2 sessions so far of my introductory 3 series. And I am just about to get a little more fanatical about this. Like, people, you have to believe me. You have to deal with self love. And, where we get issues with self love are so weird. Our little kid brain just misinterprets things. And I don't think that people mean our parents. And I don't know that necessarily they mean to give us the belief I'm not lovable, but it does happen. I would say even like one of the ways that it gets, I forgot to talk about this last week, but one of the ways that I'm not lovable might get planted is if it's people leave you, and they could leave you for legitimate reasons, like they die, right? And you go like, that they didn't love me enough to stay. Doesn't make any sense as an adult brain, but your kid brain didn't actually make a lot of sense. I mean, you guys ever tried to logic with like a little kid? Flawed logic. So I can't do children's ministry. Can't talk to these people. Anyway, I'm not lovable. Can get planted in some very strange ways. Like, my mom died. She can't help it. She didn't want to have cancer and die, and yet she did. So that's the first belief to work on. Second belief, I am worthy. And remember, I am worthy is your significance because you are a human. If you were breathing, you are worthy. You were born, you were worthy. There is nothing that you can do to earn it. There's nothing that you can do to lose it. You are worthy. And yet we all get some messed up ideas on why we are worthy and why we're not worthy. And it's hard. If you take my masterclass, we're going to go way in depth into each one of these so that you will actually get the opportunity to not only learn you get to learn cognitively what each of these core beliefs. And then during the masterclass, certain people will be able to actually process their feelings if they want to. If you want to process through them, of course, coaching. The third belief we talked about last week is I am valuable. Unlike worthiness, you cannot earn. Being valuable is actually your contribution, the benefit that you bring to the world. Now, that does not have to be a financial benefit. That does not have to be a production benefit. That can be, I smile at people and I just made someone else smile. It can be that you send a text message that says, "Good morning, I love you." It can be that you pick up the phone and call somebody. It can be that you write a letter and you remember people's birthday. Oh my gosh, Barry's Aunt Chris is amazing at writing cards. She sends cards to the grandkids for like even off holidays, Halloween, Valentine's Day, like St. Patrick's Day. She's so sweet. And then for the rest of us, we get do not miss. You will get a birthday card on your birthday from Aunt Chris. Uh, it is going to break my heart when I know we all die. And when I have to have my birthday and I will not have my birthday card from Aunt Chris, it will break my heart. So she didn't put money in him. She puts a nice letter. Just tells us that she loves us. She's thinking about us. She may tell us whatever. Your value does not have to be in financial worth. And I think that the thing our society misses with our aging population is that we don't give people an opportunity to be valuable and to contribute. And that contribution can literally be community, can be talking to somebody. Like, My gosh, you guys, I was the housing authority and we had these two guys and they every morning would wake each other, they would check on each other. And when one of them passed, I don't think it was, I didn't think the other one, like, I think it was about a year before it's just like he just lost his will to live. And I think it was because he didn't feel like he had something. He had to, every day he had to wake up, make sure his best friend was still there. So I am valuable. I am worthy. I am lovable. Okay. Next, today, we are going to talk about the other four core beliefs. Those four core beliefs are: I have what it takes, I trust myself, I belong, and I'm enough. And these may not seem like they go together, but I promise you they do. They do, they do, they do. Okay, let's start with I trust myself and I have what it takes. So it's interesting because trusting yourself, or specifically, I don't trust myself, has some really, really difficult challenges that it creates for people. When you don't trust yourself, you probably struggle with decision making. Because if you don't trust yourself to make a good decision, then you have to check with everybody else. You have to wait until everybody else gives their opinion of you. You can't move out on your own. You probably have trouble trying new things. There may be a debilitating fear of trying new things because what if you make a mistake? Because if you make a mistake, then you will confirm that you're not trustworthy. I mean, think about trying to be in relationship with somebody that you don't trust. It's a recipe for disaster. You will also likely struggle because you will need constant reassurance. Like, there's people pleasing, but this I think is actually going to be more like wanting other people to affirm you and tell you that you're doing fine and telling you what to do. And you may also miss some opportunities because when you don't trust yourself, then how could you possibly trust yourself to lead others? How could you possibly have the ability for other people to trust you? I mean, that just makes no sense. Why that would be a thing. I want to talk about what the synonyms of I trust myself. So, trust synonyms are honor, pleasure, delight, dignity, self respect, certainty, commitment, belief, and faith. Faith in yourself. And the reason why this goes so nicely with I have what it takes is absolutely that faith in yourself that you need to be able to believe that you have what it takes. So I have what it takes also could be said, I am capable. But as we talked about last week, I'm capable kind of waters it down just a little bit. It's like, yes, I am able, I am capable, but I don't necessarily have what it takes. Faith is that last piece of I trust myself. So let's shift gears to I have what it takes, or the negative version of that, I don't have what it takes. Some of the ways that this can challenge you are that you really do not you don't believe in yourself. Like, can you imagine? Like, just think about the words I don't have what it takes. I am not capable. This can significantly limit your personal growth and your professional growth. If you look at a job market and you're looking at this job posting, or maybe you have a job and you want to do a side hustle and you want to start a business, like you have to believe that you have what it takes. And if you don't, or if you try to affirm your way into, I have what it takes, I have what it takes, I have what it takes, you get tired, stressed, or hungry, which starting a new job, starting a new business, 100% of the time you will be stressed out. Maybe not 100% of the time, but often. And you are carrying around this core belief, I don't have what it takes, then you kind of create for yourself some negative self-fulfilling prophecies, like, oh my gosh, it never works out for me. Well, remember our reticular activating system, that part of our brain that is trying to prove that we are right, and it notices patterns. The reticular activating system, I call it the blue Honda effect, where when you buy a blue Honda, I don't know why I use blue Honda. Nobody buys blue Hondas anymore. I'm sure they do, but whatever. I bought a blue Honda one time, and then once you buy one, you see them everywhere, right? And so your reticular activating system notices evidence that can prove to you that you don't have what it takes. You will also need a lot more validation, just like struggling with the I trust myself, believing that you don't have what it takes. You're going to want other people to validate you. You may procrastinate. You may struggle with perfectionism, because if you're not perfect, then you will have evidence that you don't have what it takes. If you're perfect, see, that proves that I have what it takes. Well, we know we can never be perfect. We know it here, but our heart, good luck with that. And so here you struggle with procrastination and perfectionism because you're battling this belief, I don't have what it takes. So lots of opportunities missed for advancement. Let's talk about the synonyms of I have what it takes, the positive version of that. And that is able, accomplished, adept, experienced, efficient, gifted, proficient, skillful, qualified, talented, suited, and good. Now, here's the thing. Just because you believe that you are skillful, does that mean that you are perfect? No. If you are qualified, does it mean that you're the best ever at this task? No. It just means that you are capable, and more importantly than you're capable today is that you have a core deep belief that no matter what happens, you can keep trying until you get it right. I say all the time, everybody thinks that I'm this giant risk taker. Oh my gosh, you do so many risky things. No, I don't. I mitigate every single solitary risk. Every risk is mitigated for me. And what I know is that I believe that I can work hard. I believe that I have the ability to not quit, even if things are hard. And therefore, if I try something, it's not a risk because I'm willing to do what it takes to get it done. Now, when I'm done, I may decide that wasn't worth the effort. I try real hard not to decide in advance if it was worth the effort. I try really hard to try something and then go, oh, wow, that wasn't worth the effort. I'm not going to do it again. But I may decide, oh, wow, that was a lot of effort. I wonder if I do it again, if I'll get even better at it. I wonder if I do it again, I'll get even better at it. And so for me, it's not a lot of risk. The next one we're going to talk about is I am enough, or in the negative form, I am not enough. So I am not enough. Said another way, and I think said more often, I'm not good enough. I don't think most of us go, I'm not enough. Most of us are like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough for that. I don't even know if I'm not saying that we may even consciously say those words, but when you get down to the root of it, That's kind of what is underneath the root of it. Um, I'm not enough, or I'm not good enough, is significantly going to limit your life choices, because you are going to make your life smaller so that you don't affirm that that belief is true. And so you're going to avoid situations that are going to put it in your face that you're not enough. You also, it may develop hopelessness for you. Like it, if you have this constantly, and the way mine was like, no matter how hard I try, I'll never be good enough. Oh my gosh. You guys, whoo, that is so hopeless because it was, I'll never be good enough. Like that is like a permanent forever fixture. This is not like a short-term thing. This is, I'll never be good enough. And obviously when you say things like that, we should have a clue, because we shouldn't talk in absolutes, always, never. However, the I'm not good enough, I'll never be good enough, it just does not produce hope. And when we don't have hope, then we lose heart. And when we lose heart, then we lose motivation and the ability to strive and do. Why would we? Why? I'll never be good enough anyway. So this one is, to me, it's a very dangerous belief. Lots of these are detrimental, but that particular, and maybe I think it's dangerous because I've struggled with it so bad. There is also, you can experience a difficulty in standing up for yourself, which is also, I think, why I think it's a little bit dangerous, because if you don't think you're good enough, then you are going to let other people treat you like you're not good enough. You're going to let people treat you like a doormat. People pleasing will be the least of your problems. You're going to constantly need external validation, and you're going to probably get and want external validation from the very wrong places. And it's going to be a constant fear of rejection, constantly, because if somebody rejects you, see, that's just proof I'm not good enough. And you also are probably going to struggle with confidence. With this, we need confidence to be able to go after our goals, to be able to build our business. And I think that some of the time people are like, well, see, I don't struggle with this because I do have confidence. God, you have confidence all the time. And not that we're 100%. But for me, what I see is people like playing small. So yeah, they're willing to be a big fish in a small pond, but they're not willing to grow themselves. They're not willing to get on the bigger stages. They're not willing to get into the bigger ponds. Really, really struggle with perfectionism on this I'm not good enough piece, versus the I am enough. And I am enough is the synonyms for that: adequate, satisfactory, sufficient, suitable, competent. I am enough. When you embrace that belief, it helps you to have a lot more resilience, because if you know that you're good enough and you know you're enough, then when you inevitably have the bumps and bruises of life, then you aren't going to be as likely to be knocked out of the game. And knocked out of the game can look different for different people. It could be like out for a week, out for a month, out for a year, out for 5 years. Look at you guys. I mean, 2017, I published a book, did a lot of great work. I never want to diminish. I want to affirm my younger self that I did beautiful work. But oh my word, I think about some of the stuff that I did in my work with homelessness, and I used to get so upset and offended by people. And think about this, I knew nothing about like how HUD worked. I knew nothing about how everything worked. Sweetly had someone say to me one time, just because you've been homeless doesn't mean you know how to fix homelessness, which was so true. But oh man, I don't know how I didn't just fall apart on them right then. I was not nice to people. I just I was hard charging. We had to get things done. We had to move forward because I needed to prove I was enough. Oh my goodness, you guys. Oh, and so it took me out of the game, and ended up I upset the wrong people eventually. You hurt enough people's feelings and eventually it's going to come and bite you in the butt. And also, people have their own issues and board members have their own issues and, whatever. But it took me out for 5 years before I got back into the game and started writing my second book. And here I am promoting that, in 2021 is when I started this podcast, which is pretty much the first effort to actually market the book. So from 2000, I guess I was only out of the game for 4 years. If you consider launching this podcast, me starting to promote the first book. Even then, with the podcast, one of the ways I did it was to give away the book, be freaking awesome. So this one can be so detrimental. So detrimental. Comparison. Oh, it's the worst. Okay. Last belief we're going to talk about. The last core belief that I think everyone needs to work through is I don't belong. So I don't belong shows up in some interesting ways. Most of these I haven't talked to you in the masterclass. I go into more depth about kind of where these start. But I use this example so often when I'm telling people about my book. And so I have to tell you that I don't belong can, I think, get planted so easily. So easily. And the reason why is that, Brene Brown says that we have two core beliefs. She says love and belonging, or at least two core beliefs. I don't know. Not saying she's disagreeing with mine, but she definitely says we have a core need for love and belonging. Interesting that I start the 7 core beliefs with love and I end it with belonging, kind of bookends there. But so I think that belonging can be such a core easy wounding that we all get. And I think it gets tripped up. A lot of it, when I talk about the motivational triad of you needing to avoiding pain if you are in a tribe, in a group, is so much easier. Seeking pleasure, obviously, it's easier to seek pleasure in a group. And being efficient. Think about there's so much work that we do that is so much easier if you have teams. And so sorry, I just noticed my so's again. This need for belonging, I mean, it just creates so much pain for us. We get into social isolation when we struggle with I don't belong. We can have physical issues, literally physical issues, like we can't sleep well. We have a hard time relaxing. We feel physically tense because if you don't feel like you belong, then you can't possibly relax, because if you're not part of a tribe and you're not part of a group, then how are you going to protect yourself from the saber-toothed tiger, right? How are you going to protect yourself from any kind of bad situation if you don't have a group that you belong to? You can have significant issues with performance, especially if you're in a sales role or a role that requires you to be in social settings. And it often gives you a negative self-perception of yourself. You may see it in people. Well, the negative self-perception, you can struggle to go after your dreams, because if you don't belong, then why would you go? You're not part of that group. What's interesting is that we all have this, not all, but many of us have this perspective that oh, I wish I was normal like them, right? I remember when I was on this side of healing and I wanted to go to therapy. I wanted to embrace therapy. I don't know how I'd figured this out at 23 years old, but I just wanted to get to the other side of the chasm. Think back to Indiana Jones, where he had to take that first step of faith. And I just wanted to be normal. like everyone else. So if I went to therapy and I got healthy, then I would be normal like everyone else. Now, I jokingly say that now I'm not normal because there's a good number of people on the planet that aren't willing to take the journey into healing and into looking at these core beliefs. And so then you end up actually I had to find like a new crew. I had to find a new group of people to hang out with. And sometimes it felt super lonely after I was healthy because I just had to like the people that had been part of my kind of core group earlier weren't really I had attracted the kind of people that were safe when I had all of these wounds and all of these heart issues and all of these negative beliefs. People that wanted me to be a certain way and I wasn't like that anymore. And so I had to find a new place that I belonged. I belong. Synonyms: be part of, fit, exist, associate, be linked with. It's just such a good feeling to belong. Here's the interesting thing: nobody else can give it to you. You can say, I go into this church and I don't feel like I belong. And that may be a terrible example because maybe you don't belong there. But every scenario I go into now, I know that I belong to myself. I can remember the coaching that I was getting where I was walking through this scenario and it was like, okay, where does that feeling come? Where does it come up? Okay, what message does it have? And the message it had for me is you belong to yourself. And so when I belong to myself, then I have so much more confidence to be able to go into any scenario that I need to be in, even a church. And then I can decide, oh, wow, this is maybe not the place of the people that I want to be around. This is not who I want to be like. So that may be true. Maybe the same thing in your business scenario, maybe the same thing in networking, whatever groups you're a part of. When you belong to yourself, then you can more clearly decide if this is a good situation for you, if this is a good fit for you. I belong. I am lovable. I am worthy. I am valuable. I trust myself. I have what it takes. I am enough and I belong. So, real quickly, let's do an assessment. So, think about something that you really, really want. Perhaps it's maybe to launch your business. Maybe it's to make new friends. Maybe it is to find a new group. Maybe to launch a business, write a book, whatever it is. Run your business profitably. On a scale of 1 to 10, how true is it? I am enough. Okay, so we're going to choose running your business profitably. You can fill in whatever, but I just need to say the same words. When it comes to running your business profitably, how true is it? I am lovable. When it comes to running your business profitably, how true is it? I have what it takes. When it comes to running your business profitably, how true is it? I trust myself. When it comes to running your business profitably, how true is it? I am worthy. When it comes to running your business profitably, how true is it? I am valuable. When it comes to running your business profitably, how true is it? I am enough. When it comes to running your business profitably, how true is it? I belong. Now, you may go, Angela, that was too fast. That's because I don't want you to think. I want you to there's a number that popped in your head. Bam, bam, bam. I want you to take that first number. Don't think. Because if you think, then you're like, well, 7, no, it should be 9. Don't do it. Okay, so now we're going to do it as, we're going to do I'm a good friend, which is a little squishy. But I don't know if you're there out there and you are a good mom or a good wife or a good husband, good business owner, whatever, but we're just going to do a good friend. Okay. So this is an area that you feel very, very confident in. When it comes to being a good friend, how true is it? I am lovable. When it comes to being a good friend, how true is it? I have what it takes. When it comes to being a good friend, how true is it? I trust myself. When it comes to being a good friend, how true is it? I am valuable. When it comes to being a good friend, how true is it? I am worthy. When it comes to being a good friend, how true is it? I am enough. When it comes to being a good friend, how true is it? I belong. So let's say that on the running your business, I am lovable, you're at a 5. And when it comes to being a good friend, I am lovable, you are a 9. So there is a 4-point differential. So what you want to do is do all of those scoring. And this is recorded, so you guys can go back through it. You'll do the scoring. And so if there's any of them that the largest discrepancy between those two are the one that I would start with on clearing the beliefs. So next week, we are actually going to talk about what do you do if you've discovered these core beliefs. And I pretty much think everybody needs to start with this baseline of clearing these 7 core beliefs. And then we're going to kind of talk through like what that looks like. And we may even practice on the air. Don't forget, at the end of November, we are having a masterclass where we're going in depth in all 7 of these core beliefs, and would love, 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 love for you to join us. So you can go find out more information on B, the letter B, freaking awesome. So that's BF, not BE, BF, REAKING, awesome.com. You can also go to angelabelford.com. Follow us on the Instagrams, all the places. I love you guys. I hope you have a great day. Talk to you next week.